Here's something fascinating. The moment you begin to wonder if change is possible, hasn't it already begun? Like the way the first drop of rain whispers the coming of a storm. Like the way dawn hints at the rising sun before it even touches the horizon. Like the way the very thought of transformation is proof that something inside you already knows it's happening. Because isn't it interesting how you don't need to force a seed to grow? You only need to give it the right conditions, and it unfolds on its own. And perhaps just by being here, listening, absorbing, something deep inside is already shifting, in ways you don't even have to understand. They say I'm not good enough, but isn't it strange how a thought so small can feel so big when you believe it? And isn't it freeing to realise that a belief isn't a fact? They say I don't know how to change, but isn't that curious? When change is the only thing you've ever done. You were once a child, then a teenager, then something more. Every breath, every moment, every experience. You've been changing all along. They say I fear what people think, but isn't it fascinating? How the moment you stop seeking approval, people are drawn to you effortlessly. And as these old stories unravel, isn't it natural for something new to take their place? A wave doesn't resist the shore, it flows into it. A flame doesn't struggle to burn, it simply ignites. A bird doesn't hesitate to fly, it just spreads its wings. And maybe fear isn't fear at all. Maybe it's just energy, waiting to be released. Maybe uncertainty isn't a problem. It's proof that something new is emerging. Maybe the pressure you felt wasn't meant to hold you back. It was meant to launch you forward. And when you see things that way, doesn't everything shift? Because if fear is excitement in disguise, if doubt is just clarity waiting to be discovered, if every barrier was only ever a doorway in disguise, then isn't it exciting to realise you were never truly stuck? Becoming unstoppable, that way, was always there. Does the sun force itself to shine, or does it simply rise? Because that is what it was always meant to do. And if you, the radiant, warm, confident, expressive, irresistibly magnetic you, has always been there beneath the surface, then isn't it time to step into it? Because confidence, it isn't something you find. It's something you claim. Charisma isn't something you learn. It's something you uncover. Love isn't something you chase. It's something you allow. And the moment you let go of hesitation, the moment you stop waiting for permission, the moment you decide, everything clicks into place. Like a puzzle piece, finally finding where it belongs. And isn't it interesting how natural that feels? Imagine a butterfly moments before it breaks free. For so long it believed it was meant to crawl. But something inside whispered more. Without knowing how, it just became. Imagine a musician holding an instrument for the first time. At first it feels foreign, but then something inside remembers. Imagine a door that was always locked, until one day someone turns the handle and realises it was never locked at all. And maybe, just maybe, that's happening now, for you. You don't have to try to remember this. You don't have to force it, because it's already happening. Like a wave that's already begun to rise. Like a spark that's already turned into fire. Like a truth that feels so natural, so undeniable, that you wonder how you ever thought otherwise. And maybe tomorrow or next week or even today, you'll notice it. That feeling, that shift, that knowing. Or maybe you already feel it now, don't you? Because here's the fascinating thing. Every thought you ever had, every feeling, every belief, it's all just a pattern. And patterns, they can be rewired. Like a river that effortlessly carves a new path to the landscape. Like a melody that shifts keys and suddenly transforms into something new. Like a moment a caterpillar, without hesitation, becomes a butterfly, simply because That was always its nature. And as you listen, as you absorb, as your unconscious mind rearranges itself in new and powerful ways, isn't it interesting how change can happen so effortlessly? They say I'm not enough, but enough for who? And by what measure? They say I don't know how to let go, and yet, aren't you letting go with every breath you take? You don't cling to the last breath. You simply release it, and trust that another follows. They say I fear rejection, but isn't it curious how the moment you stop fearing it, people are drawn to you, like a magnet that becomes stronger, the moment it stops resisting its nature. When you realise these were just stories, nothing more than whispers in the mind, doesn't it become so much easier to simply let them fade? A lock is useless without a key. A shadow can't exist without light. And fear is just excitement without breath. What if doubt was nothing more than the space where certainty is about to grow? What if the pressure you felt was never meant to break you, but to ignite you? What if every single thing you once believed was stopping you was actually a hidden invitation to become more than you ever imagined? Because maybe you were never meant to fit in to the old mould. You were meant to shatter it completely. And as you hear these words, doesn't something deep inside begin to shift? Like a door unlocking, like a weight lifting, like a fire that was always there, finally allowed to burn. The you that was always there. The sun never wonders if it's bright enough. It simply shines. The ocean doesn't hesitate before sending waves to the shore. It just moves. A flame doesn't ask permission to burn. It simply is. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that's vibrant, magnetic, playful, unstoppable, has been there all along, just waiting for you to step into it. Because confidence, it isn't something you force. It's something you allow. Charisma isn't something you learn. It's something you unleash. And connection, that happens naturally the moment you become present. So what happens when you finally let go of everything that was never really you? Maybe that's what's happening now. A bird that grew up in a cage, it may believe it can't fly until one day it spreads its wings and remembers. A sculptor doesn't create the masterpiece by adding clay, but by removing everything that isn't the masterpiece that was always there. And a seed doesn't resist its growth. It simply breaks open because that is how it becomes what it was always meant to be. So what if that's happening for you right now? You don't have to try to remember this. You don't have to force anything, because your mind is already absorbing it. It's like a sponge soaking in water, like roots drinking in the rain, like an ember catching fire until suddenly, effortlessly, it burns brighter than ever before. And maybe tomorrow or next week or later today, that shift, that knowing, that undeniable certainty that something inside has changed. Or maybe you already feel it, don't you?